Good morning. Actually, it's afternoon here in Denver. How is everybody? We're expecting snow. It was like 60 degrees yesterday, and now we're going to have snow. I'm ready for spring. Let's make sure to celebrate National Quilting Month in March. Okay, so get out there and quilt, get some projects going. If you're just in need of a project, go to quiltybox.com because, of course, my month is March, quilting month. It's got to be my project, right? So make sure you do that. Now, let's talk about designers. Let's talk about some guest designers and artists today. Normally, you don't think of that when you think of batiks. You don't think of who's the face behind the fabric. And there is a face behind the fabric. I have guest designers. And because at Banya Batiks, we do things by collection. We put together groups of fabrics or groups of batiks that work really well together in the final project. I'm able to bring in guest designers that have designs exclusively for their collection and techniques that go with it. Now, when I talk about techniques, basically I first start with the guest designer and what they're looking to do. How do I choose my guest designer? How about that? Many different ways. I've run into people, one for instance did a Zumba class in my booth, and I'm like, and she'd be a good guest designer. Actually, I knew her, Linda Hahn. She's a fantastic artist, and she's written a ton of different books and that kind of thing. But we'll get to her in a minute. But I search out people who have a personality or something to say. And I want to give them a vehicle to say that, okay? And that's what I'm looking to do with a batik collection. My first guest designer was Scott Hansen, and he did two collections for me. And the reason I think I chose him is we had known each other and ran into each other at Quilt Market, and I'm desperately missing Quilt Market right now because you run into these fabulous personalities and see what they're up to and see what they're doing. And he always has a voice. And I thought, you know what, that would be interesting to bring to a collection. So his voice is quite different for batiks. His first comment to me when I asked him, would you do a batik collection, was, Karen, you know I don't like batiks, right? So I said, but you will, Scott. I promise you will like batiks after you do your own collection and see the process behind it. Because I think we forget that these batiks are all hand done, just like quilts in the quilting industry, they're all hand done. Okay, so his first collection for me was called Tie One On, and it's based on a whole bunch of vintage ties, right? The motifs. Now, what's a challenge for me when I bring in a guest designer is, okay, I'm trying to make sure I see their vision. They have a voice. They have something that draws them to quilting, and they have followers that also like what they're doing. And now Scott, like I said, vintage ties were his inspiration. But what he liked about his batiks, or he wanted me to try, was to get the solid or the dip dye background. And it was interesting to see what colorways he was drawn to. Now this one, I snuck in, look at this, I snuck in a typical batik kind of style, right? With a watercolor effect and the soda in the background. And I got him to come over to the dark side or the batik side, right? With a little bit of this. So his inspiration was really, like I said, the dip dye kind of thing. So we did a dip dye or a solid background. And then we did a typical batik application in the chop. Notice there's a lot of negative space in here too. And that is something that isn't normally seen in a batik. So he was pushing the envelope, which makes me have a design challenge or a technique challenge, which is something I absolutely love about my guest designers. His second collection was called Ocean Park. And we're going along those same veins, but kind of he built a story around who this person was in the town that person lived in, and the different kinds of motifs that were in there. Okay, and again, he is drawn to more of a solid or dip dye kind of look, and we consider that maybe a modern batik or a contemporary style batik. But look at this one. It's got a little bit of tone in here, different kinds of tones in there. Same with the second one here. So it is a modern style batik, but with the spacing in there, but it's got kind of the color application that you would expect in your batiks. Okay. Here's another one here. Again, the dip dye or the solid, and I did it both in the motif and the background for his. But notice the negative space. There's a lot more space in there. And so we were able to choose, like this particular one. We did the motif by doing a bleach out. Okay, so it's a different technique that I had tried, and we did a bleach out after we did the ground color. It doesn't go all the way white, does it? It kind of goes the tan, because you don't want to leave the bleach on that line to go all the way white. So it's an interesting thing, and it comes out with nice surprises. Okay, another guest designer I had was Daphne Gregg, and she adores monstera leaves. Okay, that was one of her favorite motifs. But what she likes to do is a lot of carving her own stamps out of many different materials. And how does that then translate to a batik? Well, we're carving chops, right? Or not carving, but we're building chops out of copper. And it's the same kind of application, maybe a little bit larger as far as applying the motif. This one right here is a little bit of a challenge, because what we've done is 2 chop applications with the monstera leaf. So it's the same chop, but I also did an overlay. And if I move it a little, I think you can see of these little triangles, groups of triangles. And I don't know if you can see that. It's in a pale pink, and it's pearlized. We've seen a lot of metallics in quilting fabric, but not so much in pearlized. So I was able to do a pale pink in that, okay? And you can see here, we've got some geometrics to go with it. We added a lot of color in this particular one, all right? So there's a lot of differences that these guest designers bring for me. Here's another colorway here to give you an idea. She likes the blue and the green together. I like this one. I like the movement of it, right? And we've taken the triangle and we've moved it into this chop application. So it does double up and connects to the metallic chops. This one, I just love the color in that, right? This one with the pale pink as the motif, and a lot of colors going on in the background here, okay? And how they interact with each other, I think is just wonderful. This is called Tapacloth, this collection. It's in stores. You can find it. If you look at the Banyan Batiks product finder guide, you'll find out what stores got it. Now, another guest designer is Tiffany Hayes from Needle in a Haystack. And it's all about that title, actually, with hers. It's called Sazerac. Sazerac was actually the first mixed drink, and it was from New Orleans in the United States. So I found that very interesting. But how do you translate that inspiration to fabric? So we had a lot of chats about that. And what we did is, it's got a little bit of maybe a orange peel in there as a garnish. So we took that. We took some of like the cut crystal kind of motifs that you would see in the glassware, and we put that in there. Also, we took the inspiration from the time period that the Sazerac was developed, okay? So we got that kind of floral going on. And we also had, this right here is coasters. Okay, so we took coasters and put them together, and then you get the feel of the Sazerac. Another thing about the time period is this brocade, right? This particular one, it has a brocade, or the interior kind of finishes on chairs and things like that. Notice the difference here. Look at how much wax application is in there. And you'll see, I think on my blog and on the website and on YouTube, I show where I'm doing a lot of quality control, or checking into the quality control. Because on this particular one, actually, they showed me how they do it. And you got to check and make sure your wax application is nice and solid in there, so you get the high contrast of the two. But look at this. Isn't this just gorgeous? And again, this is the coasters. So once the designs are established, then we establish the different kinds of coloration that we're looking for as well. Okay, and here's the brocade again. It's more high contrast, right? But Tiffany's Sazerac is in stores. Another guest designer I have is Linda Hahn. And she does from Frog Hollow Designs. And Linda, I mentioned she did a Zuma class in a booth at Coat Market. Make sure you follow Linda. She has a Facebook or a Facebook group. It used to be called So What, and now it is So Road. She's associated with Road to California, and it's just a fun group of discussion. Okay, so Island Vibes. If you know Linda, Linda loves a good party. How about that? I'll just say a good party. And she's in Florida, and it's all about that kind of feel, right? Kind of a tropical feel. Now, also, if you know Linda, she is a vibrant, exciting personality. And so for her to do a slight departure with pastels is just amazing, okay? But she liked that sand look, right? The washed out kind of look. And then she also liked the contrast between the corals and the aquas and teals. All right, so that was really important to her. Additionally, she loves the turtles, right? So we've got a couple of the SKUs with the turtles. Now look at this right here. How many different colors do you think are in the motif? There's like 5 or 6 in the motif. And then we kept it more subtle in the background, but it's such a creamy, almost peach look in the background, right? Okay, and then this particular one, I love this. It's a multi in the motif. There's a lot going on, right? A pale aqua, all the way to yellow, and also to almost a citrus green. All right, so a lot going on in that particular one. We've got some dots, kind of, but if you look at it, the motif has one color, and the background is where the movement is. You always need some sort of geometric or a stripe, and that's what this is. This kind of gives you the water effect. And again, we've got the turtles here, a little more high contrast there. And then this one is just stunning, right? We've got this where the background is very similar in color. There's actually 2 to 3 colors in the background. And then in here, we've got the pale peach and the yellow and a little bit going to the browns and the olivey greens. But that's a great multi, but it's in the motif, something a little different. There is a bright colorway that goes with that. But her second collection, we went all in on the brights and the saturated color. It's called Carnival. Okay, and it's supposed to be, you're supposed to think of the Mummers Day parade in Philadelphia, and it's something I could relate to. I've been lived in Philadelphia for a while, and so when Linda mentioned that, I'm like, oh, I totally understand. I know what you're talking about. And so we made sure that we got the saturated colors and the tone on tones, and just a lot going on if you were to cut it in a 4-inch square, right? And also with her kind of piecing, we have to pay attention to that. If I do a multi, I got to make sure that I have in that multi, in that 4-inch square, I've got all of the different colors at play, okay? So I don't want big transitions of color in these particular batiks because this is for Linda, okay? Love that right here. This is just such a deep and rich purple, right? And then we had to do a stripe. Doesn't this look like that fruit stripe gum or something like that? It's wonderful. It's a fabulous look, right? So you can use it in a border, or you can use it, if you cut it with the fabric, then you've got quite an interesting stripe. How do we do a stripe? Well, the color that is put down first is the motif, right? So we have to make sure that we line up the motif or the chop, okay? Different coloration here. And again, with the multicolors, you can see we got all of the multicolor in a 4-inch square there, okay? And then this is a wonderful green. How many different greens are in your coloring book or your crayon box, right? Lots of different greens that go on in there. And we chose a bunch of different ones in the motif as well as the background. This one right here kind of gives you almost like an autumn sunset, I think, okay? So you can use it in your scenic quilts. I know Trisha used one of Linda's in hers when she combined the batik with the wool. All right, so Linda Hahn is also doing a second Island Vibes, and we're probably going to showcase it to stores in the fall, so keep an eye out for that one. Another guest designer of mine is Patience Griffin from Kilts and Quilts, okay? And she challenged me quite a bit because we needed to do a plaid, because she's all about, you know, Scotland. She's got another series that is just starting, and it's based in Alaska. So she just had a book come out. So make sure you check out her website, Patience Griffin, okay? So anyway, we did kind of a herringbone look with that, and I love this. So challenging to do a plaid in Batiks. It's something that you have to change up your applications. You have to think about, do I bleach it? Do I put it chopped down? Do I use more of a peanut butter wax or cold wax kind of application? How do I apply the color so it doesn't come out muddy? And look, we've got stripes of color in there too, right? Okay, and then the sheep, okay? This one, I put the sheep on the plaid background. How did I do that? I did the plaid first, and then I bleached out the sheep, and then it did an overprint of the black on there. This, I just did the normal batik color, the smoking, the scrunching, lots of color, different application in there, add some soda, and then I did the bleach out with a black overlay. Okay, so let's show you another colorway here that goes with this particular one. And we had to get a floral in there. I love a floral in with a plaid. I think it's wonderful. And this is a tone-on-tone thistle, okay? So something a little bit different. And then, of course, this plaid is a little bit more bold, right? You've got your gold, you've got your blue in there, and a little bit of the cream. So Patience has, like I said, she has a new book out, so make sure you check her out. Another guest designer I have is Karen Combs. And Karen is known for her ombre kind of usage, or her illusion kind of quilt patterns. So I wanted to accommodate that. And what she asked me to do is, can you do, and this is a little wrinkly, I'm sorry about that, it's sitting on my lap. Can you do 3 distinct colorations, right? So it's 3 distinct colorations, and there's a certain amount of each one. Whereas normally in an ombre application, you can't count on necessarily a certain amount of light or a certain amount of dark, okay? And then we also, with this one, we added a little bit of interest where maybe it wasn't light to dark, but maybe it was like a yellow to a dark kind of russet orange, all right, something different. But what's also different about this is we did a chop application. So first we had to do the chop application, okay, to hold the color of the motif. And then we did the painted, the color changes in there. And that's really kind of different. And actually, in order to do this, we did something kind of that you would do when you're pulling fabric, almost in an accordion, to make sure you have that equal space of the light, medium, and dark. All right, so Karen Combs has 2 different collections, Colorful 1 and Colorful 2. Make sure you ask your quilt shop if they have it. Colorful 1 is a little bit softer in tone, whereas Colorful 2, it has the bright colors. There's a free download project on banyanbatiks.com, and it's a log cabin. Think about that. You can have your light, your medium, and your dark logs of a log cabin all in one piece. Awesome. Okay. So Cranberry Chutney is another collection by a guest designer, and this is by Kenna Ogg from Madison Cottage Designs. Look at her up. She's got some really fun patterns, and what she wanted was deep, rich, different kind of colorations, right? We've got the cranberry, and if you look at the produce section, basically, of your grocery store, you're going to see all of these wonderful colors. So we want to change up some motifs and use it and apply it in a geometric way, but also add some flowers in there. So Cranberry Chutney actually just hit stores now. So make sure you run to your local quilt shop or give them a shout out online, or give them a call and ask them if they have the Cranberry Chutney by Kenna Ogg. Another guest designer I have is Pat Fryer from Villa Rosa Designs. And you know Villa Rosa. There's these little pattern cards. Every store carries them. And they're wonderfully accessible kind of patterns, right? You can put them together quickly. So we wanted to make sure we did this very much Pat, okay? And Pat likes to bring in a whole bunch of color all at once. And this is what this is right here. You can see, maybe in this one is a little easier to see. That other one's more tone on tone. But you can see kind of bricks, right? Like on a patio, you've got your brick application, and then you've got your floral application here. And we were able to do that. We did that with 2 chops, actually. And if you can see right here, then I was able to change the color in there. And I did a multicolor in the rose, all right? So Villa Rosa, we got to have a rose in there, right? So this one, actually, this chop is your first chop applied. So the rose is the first one applied. then the brick is applied, then the background. It's all backwards, isn't it? So Pat Fryer is going to have another collection for us, and it's going to be this spring. So stores are going to start to see it this spring. I'm very excited to show it. I can't show it yet. Okay, so that was Patio. Now let's talk about guest designer Patty Carey from Patty's Patchwork. Her first collection is called Vino. Okay, and it's all about, you know, all of those different wines, right? And we put them in script here, so it's a nice kind of geometric going on with that. So to choose a script so it won't puddle, you can still read the words, and to make sure it's written correctly was kind of hard, actually. It's kind of a challenge. Then we did kind of a collage of corks. That's what these are here, a collage of corks. I know I have a little bin of them at home, and I thought this was a wonderful representation of that. Another thing with this collection is we started to get into mini panels. Isn't that interesting? So the chop is right here, and you've seen, I think, a couple times on social media and probably on my website, you see me using this particular one where when I was in Indonesia, they showed me how they do it. And this is quite difficult actually to do because they are lining these up, right? And they're trying to make sure they're straight of grain. Remember, it's all hand done. So the first color that's put in here is not this cream color at all. It's actually this color behind, okay? It looks like it's behind, but that's the first color that's applied. And then the wax holds it down, okay? So then you can bleach out and apply this color over it. But these are wonderful to cut into and put into blocks, right? They're about, I want to say about a 9-inch block, okay? So you can put fun flying geese or something like that around it. So Vino is in stores. That was her first collection. And right now, here's a sneak peek. We're showing it to stores right now. So it's going to be in stores next September, I think. And Patty's going to do a quilt along to go with it. It's called Canoe Lake. And you can see we've got this this collection Lakeside. You've got your nice taupey browns. And then you've got your canoe with your pine tree, right? We've got a nice bundle of leaves, I guess, right? Like if you were jumping in a leaf pile, okay? She also did all different kinds of words that are associated with a cabin and a lake or something like that. And then we played with plaid, okay? So not only are we doing little panels and a border, I'll get to that in a second, all right? Which is something different in batiks, but we're doing a different kind of plaid. And this is done with what I call cold wax, okay? So it's not the liquid wax that we dip the chop in. It's cold wax or peanut butter consistency, all right? And so there's different applications here. Each application of color has to be able to go over the last one because we do not take it off the frame to bleach it out or to get the wax off, okay? I call them Adirondack chairs. She calls them Muskoka chairs for all of those Canadians out there, okay? We got some more tone-on-tone words, and I love this. This is just phenomenal with the tracks, all the different kinds of animal tracks, okay? Some more words, and then this is what I was talking about in regards to the border, all right? Patty's got a really interesting design that's coming out. Keep an eye out for it, where she's done a triangle to feature the pine tree, all right? So there's, I think, 5 width of the pine trees, and then 6 of the little pine cones. This, again, is a major achievement in batiks. You don't necessarily see the borders in batiks, but we do know how to use them. We see them in cottons all the time. So who else do I have on deck? Let me think. For guest designers, Scott Flanagan, he's going to have a collection. Tiffany Hayes is going to have another collection with Banyan Batiks. And Jessica Vandenberg from So Many Creations is also going to have a collection with Banyan Batiks. So I like that they challenge me. They give me an idea of what they're looking for, and I let them know, yes, we can try this in a different kind of technique. Make sure you check out banyanbatiks.com. There's always some interesting videos and things like that of trips to Indonesia. And check out their product finder guide. If there was a collection you really liked, you can find it, which quilt shop is carrying it. So that's all for today. Join me every Thursday, unless it's a snow day, at 1 o'clock on Thursdays for Facebook Live.